Well, Tea Parties and Libertarians not exactly mad about Mitt. South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, once backed by the Tea Party, now getting backlash from the Tea Party after putting her chips behind Mitt Romney. Reason Magazine editor-in-chief Matt Welch shares that criticism. He's a Libertarian more than a Tea Partier, but agrees if it's Romney versus Obama, he'll be voting for a third choice. But Matt, what if it's a two-person choice? Would you just hold your nose and vote for Romney, or what do you do?
Well, right now, as far as I'm aware, there's been 2 elections in the primary season, so it's a little bit premature to talk about
Very good point.
a two-party choice. No, and the Republican Party has to decide whether it's going to respond to 4 years of Barack Obama and a populist uprising against bailout economics by nominating a guy who has no credible plan to cut government, and that's who Mitt Romney is. I think before that happens, there needs to be a thoroughgoing debate on why that is happening. Why are they coughing up basically the Republican version of John Kerry?
So, well, it's a little extreme, but I mean, who is your candidate?
Well, I'm rooting for Ron Paul to continue to come a good second place. He's the only one right now who's looking in the teeth of a almost European-style fiscal crisis that's looking us right in the face right now, and saying he's going to cut government by $1 trillion next year. Mitt Romney right now is running to the left of Barack Obama on Medicare. He's criticizing him for cutting Medicare. He's criticizing Rick Perry for calling the Social Security a Ponzi scheme, and he's talking about drastically jacking up military spending. What are you going to cut? I mean, you got to cut something. We're borrowing 40 cents on every dollar.
No, fair enough, Matt. You raise a good point, but obviously there are those maybe a bit more pragmatic in the party than you, and who say they share your zeal about, you know, cutting spending and all that. But I think the figures were these exit polls out of New Hampshire, and correct me if I'm wrong, that half of the conservatives who voted in the end for Mitt Romney, though not great personal fans of the former governor, voted for him because they thought he had the best chance of winning, and that was it. And that guys like you, you know, could topple that and hand the election to President Obama. What do you say?
Well, I say I'm not a Republican, so in many ways they're right. But Republicans are bleeding market share, even in this very favorable
I think you know
climate.
what I'm saying. But if you had a choice between the two, would you just sit it out there?
Everybody wants to break it down to just a choice between the two, but we have more choices. That's the fact of the situation.
Well, we don't yet. I mean, let's say in the general election, I know I'm giving you a hypothetical, but so bear with my simplicity. But if it were Mitt Romney and it were Barack Obama, and you're quite right to say it's way too early to say that's the case, but if it is the case, are you saying you would sit the election out?
I would probably vote for a third party in that case, for sure. If someone held a gun to my head, I always go with firing the person who's in office, but no one's holding a gun to my head.
What if the only third-party candidate were Ralph Nader?
Luckily, that's not going to be the case. Look, Gary Johnson's running for the Libertarian Party candidate. He didn't really catch fire in the Republican primaries, but he's going to put up a good cause. But let's talk now about where the Republican Party is going to go, and are we going to actually come up with some sort of credible plans to cut the crisis in front of us? Because otherwise, we're going to have to make that decision without being able to plan it ourselves. It's going to be made for us. So at some point, Republicans are going to have to get serious about cutting government.
So when a lot of mainstream members of both parties look at a Ron Paul, a great respect for him, because you're right, he's the only guy who actually speaks his mind, he's consistent on his policies, but take it to their extreme, worry some folks that there is a disengagement to his views of the world that some see as naive, if not dangerous. What do you say?
Sure. I mean, I don't begrudge anyone for not supporting anybody. But I think what we're going to see, because Ron Paul's going to run to the Republican convention, you're going to see him try to influence what the other people are talking about in the debate, which he already has done when it comes to what they talk about the Federal Reserve and so on. He's going to try to push the Republican Party in a direction towards liberty, towards limited government, towards constitutionalism. The question is the Republican Party and the nominee, if it's not him, are they going to try to accommodate those views and the people who believe passionately about them, and will they do it in a way that's credible to the people who follow him? I think it's a real open question.
Very well put. Very, very interesting fellow. Matt Welch, thank you very much. Reason Magazine, the editor-in-chief.